Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a drama thriller film called Birth Rebirth from 2023. Enjoy your viewing. A young woman, Celie, works as a nurse in a maternity ward. She is raising her 6-year-old daughter Lily alone, so she doesn't even have time for a good rest. One morning, Celie is getting ready for work and realizes that the girl has a very high fever. She can't miss work, so she asks her neighbor to babysit while she is at work. Rose, a morgue worker, works at the same hospital. She is not very sociable, so when she is asked to cover a shift, she refuses. In the evening, she goes to a bar where she meets the first man she sees. In the restroom, she goes about her predictable business, and when she receives the biomaterial, she silently leaves. Back at home, Rose feeds her pet pig and then puts an intravenous drip in it. She then lies down on the floor and injects the biomaterial into herself. While at work, Celie drops her phone in the toilet, so she rushes home after work. Not finding her daughter and her neighbor, she finds a note saying that the girl had become much worse, so the neighbor took her to the hospital. Celie rushed to the hospital and learned that Lily had died of bacterial meningitis. Unable to believe what had happened, she asks the neighbor to leave her alone. And taking the girl's belongings, she goes down to the lower floor of the morgue. Rose informs her that Lily's body has been taken away for examination, so she should leave the premises. When Celie offers her a ride home, she agrees. In the parking lot, she notices a morgue worker loading a large black bag into her car, but she doesn't pay it any mind. All weekend long, she tries to call the forensic center, but the answering machine informs her that they will start working only on Monday. Arriving there at the appointed time, Celie finds out that Lily's body is not there. When she returns to the hospital, she makes a scene, demanding to see the same morgue worker named Rose. Hearing this, she takes a bulky suitcase and hurries to the parking lot despite calls to stop. She gets into her car and drives away. A few days later, the woman manages to find Rose's address and waits for her at the door. The morgue worker is reluctant to make contact, but when the sound of an appliance comes from her apartment, she pushes the visitor away and rushes inside. Celie also bursts into the apartment and is frozen in amazement. Her Lily is lying on the bed, and some devices are connected to her body. Rose explains that the girl is still alive. She was a perfect match for the parameters of her experimental drug. With the help of the drug, the doctor managed to resurrect the child, and now she is watching how the body will behave in the future. When a pig enters the room, Rose explains that this animal has also been subjected to tests after death. Thanks to the constant injection of a tissue-regenerating serum, the animal lives a normal life. But the girl is more complicated because Rose does not know how her brain will work after resurrection. Realizing that this chance should not be lost, Lily packs her things and moves in with Rose so that Lily can be under constant supervision. From that day on, the women take turns going to work so as not to leave the test subjects alone. While on the night shift, Celie packs everything she needs to care for and support the girl in her suitcase, while Rose takes medication that causes unpleasant consequences for her stomach. It turns out that she's 3 months pregnant. The woman did this in order to get the placenta, which is needed for further experiments. A few days later, the women perform a small operation, after which Lily begins to breathe on her own. At dinner that night, Rose tells us that she started her research as a child. Her mother was a doctor, so she became interested in this field. During her stay in the apartment, Celie managed to teach the pig to follow basic commands. She assures us that only very intelligent representatives of this species can be trained. The next day, while at work, Rose collapses. A colleague calls for help, and she is taken to the operating room. It turns out that after taking the pill, she developed an infection that affected her reproductive function. The woman will never be able to get pregnant again. Celie is worried about the woman's long absence. She witnesses Lily sitting up in bed and opening her eyes. She happily approaches her daughter, but she does not react to her mother's presence. After the anesthesia wears off, Rose returns home. When she sees the flasks with the placenta, she is devastated. The experiment has failed because she was supposed to add a component 12 hours ago. Noticing that Lily has regained consciousness, the woman is very surprised. She assures her that it is too early for this stage. After listening to the girl's behavior, Rose concludes that she is generating a much faster guinea pig. But the problem is that to continue the experiment, Lily needs to be constantly injected with a serum, the main component of which is embryo tissue. All this time, the woman has been finding the necessary material on her own. The serum will only last for a couple of weeks, so Rose is trying to find some way out of this situation. At some point, an idea comes to her, and she quickly runs off to work. When she returned, she saw that there was a TV set in front of Lily's bed. As soon as she turns off the TV, the girl immediately starts crying. Noting the new habits, Rose calls Saley over to talk to her. She has studied the hospital's files and found a suitable sample among pregnant women. Now it's up to Saley. She needs to somehow get the right material to make a new batch of serum. By faking Emily's tests, she manages to get the necessary materials. Back at home, Rose tells them that with the material they will have a few more weeks to spare. She ruthlessly states that Saley will have to do this several more times until she gives birth. Realizing that Emily will be worried and think that something is wrong with the baby, the woman still agrees. A few days later, Rose puts Lily on her feet, and she takes her first tentative steps. The girl also recalls a song her mother used to sing to her as a child. She also began to respond to her name. One evening, Saley comes across the videotapes of the experiments and sees that Rose's mother was the first subject. Shocked, she turns off the tape and tries not to think about what she saw. At the next procedure, Emily announces that she is being transferred to another hospital. When Saley comes home, she tells Rose about it, and a small quarrel breaks out between the women. Each tries to find the other's fault in what happened. But in the end, they both realize that they now need to look for new ways to solve this problem. Lily gets up in the middle of the night and eliminates the piglet. Deciding that this is an additional opportunity to study the specimen from the inside, Rose sets to work. She manages to find a way to speed up the girl's recovery process. This requires a bone marrow-based serum. The woman, with the help of Saley, takes her material to work, and then continues to monitor the girl's reaction. There is no improvement, but Saley does not despair. She is going to take extra days at work to have access to more patients. This will increase the possibility of finding a suitable donor. However, Rose recommends taking a vacation to spend more time with her daughter. She realizes that soon the girl will be gone due to the lack of the necessary serum. A few days later, Lily's heart stops. Saley was by her side until the last minute. Returning from work, Rose saw only a perfectly made bed and the girl's body in the freezer. Her partner went to Emily's house at that moment. She asked for tea, and unnoticed slipped a labor-inducing drug into the cup. When the girl began to feel the effects of the drug, Saley immediately called an ambulance. They took the woman to their hospital, and the woman underwent surgery. The baby was saved, but unfortunately, the mother did not survive. Meanwhile, Rose managed to gather all the necessary materials. When she returned home, she found Saley upset. This time, they conducted the experiment together, hoping that they would be able to see it through to the very end. After all, there is no one more determined than a mother who wants to save her child, even at the cost of someone else's life. If you have watched the video so far, you should know that I am happy to have viewers like you. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel and follow the news. Klontsak Recapped was with you. See you soon.